So the fourth part is the acknowledgement. Acknowledge what was said to you in reply to your question, or acknowledge the answer that they've asked you. And the acknowledgement is a fundamental crux of what we do as salespeople. As mentioned previously, acknowledging the other person is a really clever way to keep control of the conversation. In many ways, it's what I call the sales clutch, because when you acknowledge, you give yourself time to think about what you're going to say next. With an acknowledgement phrase in your sales arsenal, you've now got something you can deliver without having to use a lot of your brain processing power and keep control. And while you're doing that, you're able to have your brain think about what you're going to say next. This is valuable in sales. Another aspect of this, or another aspect of acknowledgements, is this: the customer speaks. Because you know that you're going to acknowledge what the customer says when they finish speaking, which will give you time to think about what you want to say next, you are now afforded the ability to focus 100% on what the customer is saying. This is so vital for you becoming a great salesperson. Because if you know you can use that acknowledgement phrase at the end of the statement the customer's made, this means you don't have to think about what the customer is saying or what you're going to say next whilst the customer is talking, and you can focus, actively listen on what they're saying. And all you need to use is a simple phrase such as, okay, I appreciate what you've said, however, dum dum dum. Or, okay, I appreciate that you feel that way. Or, okay, I understand what you've said. Or, okay, I think I'm understanding what you're saying. Would you say that what you've just said is, or just to rephrase or paraphrase, what you're saying is this? Using the sales clutch allows you to think about what you're going to say next, which should be a question. So the last part is to ask another question based on what was said or asked. And here's another clever part of this whole 5 A's process. Instead of answering a customer's question, which lets them control the narrative and the conversation, you use what they've said or asked as part of your next question. So if they say, how long is delivery? Your answer will be, okay, I appreciate you asking about how long delivery is. Can I ask you, when would you like the goods delivered? So this is taking what the customer said and using it as part of your question. And in the sales wheel, we're going to look at this in much more detail of how to create the right questions and to teach yourself how to make the right questions using the material that the customer's giving you. This makes your questions relevant and engaging. You see, by asking relevant questions, you keep the customer interested and therefore engaged. Keeps you controlling the narrative, controlling the conversation, and keeping the customer interested. And even more importantly, because you're asking questions relevant to them, they feel important and valued, and that is a wonderful thing to give a customer. By following the 5 A's, what it actually means is that you're following one of my favourite acronyms. A, always. B, C, closing. Always be closing. You see, as you're doing your fact find with the customer, as you're finding out what the customer wants, because you're asking questions with acknowledgements and further questions, you're always closing with the customer, even whilst you're doing your exploration. You know, the traditional sales model of open the customer up and close them down. Well, actually, if you're asking questions in the exploration phase, which is how you explore better anyway, you're actually closing the whole time. Hence, always be closing.
A, B, C. A, always, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.